the Indian American votes may play a very crucial role in this election cycle. WION spoke to Indian American voters about their hopes and also aspirations on the U.S. elections in Maryland, and this is what they told Sidhan Sibol.
I'm appreciative of Donald Trump's tweeting, support of Bangladeshi Hindus. I think more leaders in the world need to do that.
Abortion is an issue that is very close to my heart. I think it should be a woman's choice, and I have a faith that no woman would take the abortion lightly.
By registered voter, I'm a Democratic, but lately views has changed dramatically based on the issues. So I really don't represent any particular party, but who can address the issues.
For Indian Americans, the issue definitely is immigration. The ones who want to be here, whether on H1, they would want faster processing, more quotas, faster green cards for the families.
And over the past 30 years, I've seen a major growth in the Indian sub-community within the United States and becoming a more vocal voice.
I truly, honestly believe neither candidate's policies will affect the Indians. Yeah, it's in our minds if you think about it. No, Hindus will have no impact on either of them becoming president.
Both the parties are fighting each other and nobody's really thinking about making the country stronger.
Because we are also a very fiscally responsible community. And at the same time, we are also a religious community. So if you look at those two things, both of those things are aligned mostly with Republicans rather than Democrats.
So those are the views of the Indian American diaspora, who say that they are divided on who to choose as the next president of the United States, be it Trump because of his policies or Kamala Harris because of her stance on reproductive health and abortion. And as we speak, this is in the United States of America. The voting has begun. The D-Day is today. So many people are going out to exercise their franchise or their rights, and we'll see who emerges the winner between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Few regions across the world will be watching the outcome of the U.S. elections as closely as West Asia, Lebanon, Gaza, Iran, and other countries who look to fathom what the next incumbent of the White House has in store for them and for the war. It's all conjecture and speculation for now on who's better for them, Trump or Harris.
The ravages of war. The people of Gaza have rummaged in this nightmare for the last year and more. Multiple peace efforts and ceasefire pushes, many of them led by America, have fallen through. And it's boiled down to which incumbent of the White House, if any, can pull them out of it. For months now, Gazans have been hanging on to every word and expression flowing out of this US election race. There's a feeling that President Joe Biden has failed them. So will Donald Trump's high promises of keeping Israel under control come through? Or will Kamala Harris's expressions of sympathy on the humanitarian horrors help? It's all speculation and hope for now. Inside Israel, it's taken the shape of the sympathy with Gaza factor that has risen strongly over the months. Here too there's an acceptance that the remote control lies in Washington, and ending the war will ultimately be decided from there.
I support Trump because he's pro-Israel. He's always been good for Israel. Changed the capital to Jerusalem. And all of my friends and all of my family, they've voted for Trump, so we hope he wins.
We have only one country, and all the world, we have small country. And all the world, a lot of people in the world hate us, and Trump can save us and we need him. We need him so much.
I'd like Miss Harris to win the election, and that's because I'm pro-democracy. And I think Trump is a horrible man, and I don't see any reason anyone would trust him with anything that he's going to do for anyone. So I'm for Miss Harris.
Vice President Harris has made clear that if she wins the election, she would continue the policies of the Biden administration. Harris has said that she would continue to work around the clock for a hostage release and ceasefire deal. She's also said that Hamas cannot be allowed to control Gaza after the war and that she would work towards a two-state solution. If President Trump wins, commentators expect a more hawkish stance in the short term, although Trump has reportedly said to Prime Minister Netanyahu that he would like to see the hostages freed and the war over by inauguration in January.
Shifting focus to another Israel target nation, Lebanon, and the fight against the Hezbollah. There's been a spurt in action in South Lebanon this last month. Large parts of capital Beirut's southern suburbs lie in ruins. Among the people, the America factor and influence is a dominant concern.
This is talk. Whatever America wants happens here. This is what we are seeing. For us to come and speculate about what will happen, only God knows. God willing, it will be good. They are saying that if Trump wins, he will de-escalate the strikes on Lebanon. If that happens, we will be grateful.
And Front 3, Iran. Washington's deployment of its B-52 bomber in West Asia as temperatures climb in anticipation of an Iranian counter-strike against Israel prompted Tehran to label the US as a destabilizing presence in the region. As they look to the US elections, hoping for new approaches on clearing the war clouds. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Jack Rausch is a research associate at United Against Nuclear Iran. He's now joining us live from London. Mr. Rausch, good to see you again and welcome to the broadcast. First of all eyes are on the United States elections. West Asia is on alert. Europe is on alert. They just want to see who becomes the next US president. Why does it matter for them?
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back. Of course, this election is of great significance for the entire world. As you know, the United States is the most powerful nation in the world. Its military presence, as you mentioned, is expanding in West Asia. Obviously, there's also a conflict in Ukraine. There's concern over rising Chinese power and China's potential designs on Taiwan. And so the United States carries great significance in all of these conflicts, existing and potential. And so there's great concern over how this election will turn out. And of course, there's also the concern that the United States will be destabilized by this election, particularly from Trump and his camp. And so there's also concern over that as well. That would have great implications for these geopolitical considerations and also for global financial markets.
Mr. Rausch, we've been talking more about what West Asia is expecting, but we've not been talking about what Europe is expecting. What are Europeans predicting about this US elections? What are their aspirations?
Of course. Well, I think Europe is watching this election closely. The first concern is that Donald Trump is not as committed to the Atlantic Partnership that as Biden is and as Harris could be. There's concern that that would carry implications in Ukraine, that potentially Trump would not offer the same level of support that the Biden administration has offered. There's also this growing consideration that perhaps Europe needs to adopt a more independent security policy and break from the United States, including on issues like what's going on in West Asia, Iran, and policy towards China. So Europe is watching this with bated breath, and I think it's likely that regardless of who wins, we will see some sort of change in Europe's posture vis-a-vis the United States. And hopefully this will move in a positive direction, and there will be positive changes for European security and other considerations.
Mr. Rausch, we've been hearing promises from both Trump and Harris that if they become the president or the next president of the United States, this is going to change. They're going to have certain policies, for instance, on Israel and on what is happening in Gaza. Do you think if any of them wins these elections, they will actually commit to their promises?
It's a good question. Both candidates have touched on the issue of Gaza and Israel over the course of the campaign. The Trump campaign has sought to use this issue to their advantage. We've seen Trump court both Muslim Americans and Arab Americans through his vague promise to end the conflict and resolve it in the near term. And we've also seen Trump attempt to court Jewish Americans and those who are supportive of Israel by criticizing the Biden administration's policies. And this has sort of put the Harris campaign in a bind where it seems as though they're unable to appeal to either side, and they've been criticized from both directions. So that's been an issue for them. And we don't really have a lot of concrete policies from either side. With Harris, we have, of course, what's been happening under the Biden administration, Biden's policies towards the conflict, and that will likely continue in some respects. But it's also likely that Harris will bring on new staff, new cabinet members who will have their own positions, their own perspectives, and that will change things. And then with the Trump campaign, of course, it's unlikely that he will be able to make both sides happy. And given his track record, given the people he surrounds himself with, I think we can expect closer relationship with Israel and perhaps greater support for what Israel is attempting to do in Lebanon and also towards Iran.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. I've been talking to Mr. Jack Rausch. He's a research associate at United Against Nuclear Iran. He is in London. Mr. Rausch, as always, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.